Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
Chiefs win. Cry, Eagles, cry.
Great, excited to be back in the week.
You know, every day I got the Three Stooges in the studio with me is a good fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So let's make sure he gets that bag.
Frauds! Frauds! Woo!
Justin's way ahead in picks. That's all that you need to fucking know.
Show's over.
Show's over. We're going home.
I'd like to welcome you back to another page of the Playbook Sports Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Playbook Sports Podcast, live from Kansas City, where the first round just concluded about 11 hours ago, late last night. And we just wanted to get this out right away. We're going to give you our favorite, least favorite, most surprising, and then we're each going to pick up players most likely to succeed in their rookie season and most likely to struggle in their rookie season. I got Chiefs. I got AO. We've got Beans in-house. It's AO forever.
I love that.
Yeah, hey, it's a great one. Who wants to start us off? You know what, Bobby, you're over here talking a lot. I'm excited to hear what you've got for your favorite pick. Let's do favorite pick first.
Yeah, so I had, I think my favorite overall pick for the draft was actually the Pats selecting Christian Gonzalez. Just the value, him going at 19. I think that was a huge thing for him.
Yep.
And then, honestly, too, I did love the Eagles coming back and getting both Georgia guys. Something I had in my mock, being able to get, two great players in that. Mm-hmm. Then as a Colts fan, obviously love the Richardson pick over Levis. But I do think overall, Christian Gonzalez, the value that he went at, I know a lot of people said top 10 pick, things like that.
Top six.
So, yeah, right, exactly. So going to the Pats, I think, was a really good pick for them. So great point.
I mean, I thought the Lions were going to take Gonzalez at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Once Witherspoon went at 5, I'm like, yep, I'm not even going to pay attention to this pick. It's definitely Gonzalez at 6. It has to be. They need a corner.
Or it was Wilson, or it was Carter.
Right.
Or any of the top defensive players available, but they zigged when we thought they would zag.
Yeah.
Bingo.
AO, what you got for your favorite picks?
Well, it's funny enough. I also have Christian Gonzalez as one of mine.
Consensus.
Down first one. Just again, it's the where he was drafted. I think for the potential that he is the best corner in the draft. Got all the intangibles, and to get him at 17 off of a trade down, I want to say as well from New England.
Yeah.
Great moves made so far by the Patriots. There's a couple other ones. I know it's cheesy, but I wrote all quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I really do think all quarterbacks were good picks. Bryce Young, with the system that he's going to in Carolina. C.J. Stroud, I'm excited for him in Houston. And then I love Richardson in Indianapolis.
Yep.
And then it's also sort of cheap for this one. But I love the receiver run, but specifically Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
To get him at 20 when people were thinking he might go as high as 9 to the Bears, but then if not, he's not going past 12. Well, if he gets past 12, he's not going past 13. Right. And it just kept going. All of a sudden, he's down at 20. And we hear the name called, and it's like, damn, they really got a trio of pretty elite receivers. But I do love the receiver run. I think all those teams really could have used a receiver, and they got pretty good talent for where they were picked. But Smith-Njigba, though, I think that was a great pick for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I agree. Colin, favorite pick?
So I'm hoping for the rest of these that we rotate who goes first, because
Yes.
I also have Christian Gonzalez at 17 to New England. It's more so where he's going versus where he went as far as order-wise. Yes, he did drop to 17, but also I think he's going to a defensive system and a defensive coach that can mold him into a potential Pro Bowl or potential All-Pro someday, maybe. Hopefully for Nate's sake, not.
Right.
But I like Christian Gonzalez as well. We talked about he can go as high as 6.
6.
Drop to 17. Patriots trade back, get some capital, still get maybe the guy they wanted at 14.
Yeah.
So I like that pick a lot for them.
I agree. I've got 2 written here, but now that I'm thinking about it, there are so many picks that I liked. My ones I have written down, Will Anderson. I love Houston went up and got him, man. He was the best edge rusher in the class. They got him at 3. They got their boy on the defensive side and on the offensive side. I think they did great in this draft. I like Tyree Wilson at 7. I think that was kind of a fall for him when people thought he might go at 2. So for Vegas to sit tight and get him at 7, I like that one. I also like what Arizona did a lot. Trading down, picking up Houston's first-round pick next year, and still getting their offensive lineman. And then they moved back up. They moved back up to 6 or wherever.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was 6. They went down to 12 and then up to 6, and they keep Houston's first-rounder next year. I think that was brilliant. Betting on Houston to struggle is a very successul business plan, in my opinion. But yeah, some great picks in there. But then we also got some picks that made us kind of scratch our heads a little bit. And let's go reverse order. Reverse order this time. My least favorite picks, I did not like Emmanuel Forbes at 16 to Washington. Not when Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter Jr. are both on the board. that didn't make a whole lot of. Maybe I'm just low on Emmanuel
Deontay
Forbes.
Banks was still on the
Deontay
board.
Banks was on the board. Like all of the corners minus Devin Witherspoon were on the board, and they went with maybe the 4th or 5th best guy.
Yeah.
That was surprising to me. I don't know what people saw in Christian Gonzalez where they let him fall to the Patriots. That's just absurd. And then my other one I have written down, and this one made me grin at the time, was Will McDonald to the Jets at 15. I felt like if they wanted Will McDonald, they could have made a trade down. I didn't have Will McDonald rated that highly. I like Miles Murphy as much as I like him. I guess it depends on how they want to use him, and he could be a stud. I just figured with Jackson Smith and Jigba still on the board, and a chance to pair him up with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Rodgers.
That's fair. We'll go like that. Yes, Phil Collins. Let's
Can't
go.
wait to go first next round.
Yes. But yeah, I did not like the fit there at 15. It's just wherever Rodgers goes, they're not taking a weapon in the first round. It's just not going to happen. Doesn't matter. But that's what I got for my 2 least favorite picks coming off the first round. Although there were others, but I may have saved them for another category. Colin, you go ahead. What you got?
Yep, I got Will McDonald the 4th out of Iowa State going 15 to the Jets. We talked about Rodgers and weapon. You could use a tight end there. There was all the tight ends available.
All of them.
All the receivers were available if you wanted to bolster up that weapon core for him. I'm not sure a DN/outside linebacker hybrid is really the pick you wanted there. I would have rather than take a safety if they were going to go
Brian
defense.
Branch on the board.
But yeah, I think they really needed to get Rodgers a weapon. That was kind of after most of the linemen had already went, so it kind of made sense that they didn't go lineman, although they really did need a tackle.
Yeah.
But Will McDonald the 4th was an absolute head scratcher at the time.
Agreed. AO.
Well, I've got this one, Jahmyr Gibbs for the Lions,
Yeah.
and it's only because just for right now, does that help the Lions team tremendous for this upcoming season? Maybe it does help in 2 years, 3 years, but they've got a good depth in the running back room now, which isn't bad. But is he going to be on the field? Is Gibbs going to be getting the snaps when it's 3rd down and they need to potentially be pass blocking? It's going to be Montgomery.
Pass block, man.
And at the end of the day, they're going to use Swift because he's gone soon, so use him as much as you can. It's just to pick a 12 when maybe I feel like that's a situation where they could have potentially traded down. Maybe they didn't have anyone biting at the trade. And they said, well, we got to take him now because we're scared he won't be there at 18. But I felt like he would have been there at 18. Little high for me for Jahmyr Gibbs. We just don't really know about that one. And then the next one as well, the next pick, exactly, 13, Lucas Van Ness for Green Bay.
Yeah.
It's almost the same thing. Where does this help you immediately right now? They had the chance to pick Jordan Love, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, the best receiver in the draft. Justin Fields' rival, you know what I mean? It's his boy. Let's go make him a great Packer and have him and Jordan Love have this great connection instead of Fields like they wanted. But instead, they go D-end, which don't get me wrong, Lucas Van Ness, not just D-end. He can play anywhere on the D-line, strong, physical. He's not a bad player. It's just I was shocked it wasn't. I'm not shocked, though, because it's Green Bay. You know what I mean? They're not going to go out and get a weapon. They didn't do it for Rodgers. They're sure as shit not doing it for you, Jordan Love. Doing it early and clear and often, but Lucas Van Ness and Gibbs, both NFC North teams. Maybe that's just bias, and I think they're bad picks. But
No, I actually
both questions.
I actually had both
it's
those
written
guys
down
as well.
too.
Yeah, and I think the reasoning for me is the same, and it's different for both prospects. But with Gibbs, I think you could have sat back and got him later, tried to trade back in the draft. I think it was just pulling the trigger on someone. I think they did want Bijan, but he wasn't there. So I think they just said, you know what, we'll go get a running back, which I never bad to add, especially how the Lions like to play. But just where they took him is what I didn't like about it. And then same with Lucas Van Ness. I think Jordan Love being a young quarterback, you got to go get him weapons or help on the O-line, whatever you can do to help him out. Instead of just trying to, get the defense better. I think at the end of the day, it was just the position that they picked there that I didn't like as well. So I had those two as kind of my least favorite picks in the draft. So
Yeah, I agree. I was really surprised by Packers, man. I thought Packers were going JSN for sure. And they go with Van Ness. That was very surprising. Colin, start us off. Most surprising pick. What you got?
Most surprising was one of your guys' least favorite picks, and for me, that was Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've written down.
I don't hate him as a first-round pick. As a 12th overall pick, I hate that.
I hate that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But I do think he is a guy that could, perform to be a first-round pick at the end of the day when it's all said and done. So for me, it was more shocking than least favorite.
Right.
So I had him as my most shocking pick because at 12, like Addison said, I think you could have got him at 18.
Yeah.
And you could trade him back to the mid-20s.
Yeah.
And it kind of raises the question, if they truly wanted Bijan at the end of the day, why did they trade back from 6 to 12? Because there were several teams between 6 and 12 that could have taken Bijan Robinson. So
I mean,
at the end of the day, that was shocking.
The first team that potentially would have even looked at Gibbs, in my opinion, is the Chargers.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's still a little bit of
Bengals,
time.
maybe?
I mean,
Vikings,
yeah,
maybe.
maybe they're trying to get Cook out the door,
It
but
sounds like they are.
and that's I don't get that calling. At 18, I thought maybe if Gibbs is at 18, I'm sitting there going, hey, maybe a slight
That
reach,
would
but
make
it's worth
sense,
it because they think that he's going to be the future one back.
Yeah.
But at 12, man, I agree with you, Colin, on that one. That is shocking.
Yeah, I know that the GM of the Lions came out today and he said as soon as he made the pick, he was getting texts from other GMs like, "Oh, great pick, man. We were going to take him if you." A liar.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe it for a single second that everyone's like, "Oh man, steal if Jahmyr Gibbs at 12."
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he does look good, and like
He's
not
got
that
good
he's,
speed.
yeah, he's not gonna. He's gonna be a good player,
Right.
but it's just again,
Where
their
you took
backfield
him.
is loaded.
Right.
Where you took him, is he going to be on the field enough to justify 12th overall?
Montgomery, Swift, and Gibbs. Like those are three solid
I mean, the
running
one
backs.
knock on Gibbs is he can't pass block, and that's literally huge and stops backs from being played in an NFL.
Yes.
I think they could have went JSN at 12 too, especially with losing all the
With
receivers.
receivers
playing
all
big
getting out.
just adding to that.
Very
giving
interesting.
Jared Goff the
We'll
best
see how
chance,
that
but-
obviously plays out.
Right.
But
Agreed.
I can see the scenario where Gibbs doesn't even take over the backfield until like week 12.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if they're good, because then it's just okay. Now we're getting him acclimated to the lead role,
Yep.
role 9. But
Agreed.
to go to my most shocking pick,
Yes.
I have Emmanuel Forbes here.
Uh-huh.
I like the pick of Emmanuel Forbes. I think he is first round corner.
Uh-huh.
Ball hawk, makes turnover plays for the defense. A little small though. I mean, he's 6'1", 166. He's gonna have to
Yeah, very
beef
thin.
up a little bit in the league. I guess I get it because when you look around the division, man, there's some receivers they have to defend against.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, Nate, Christian Gonzalez was on the board, and they went with Emmanuel Forbes, and that to me was shocking. I like the addressing the corner position, but Emmanuel Forbes, I don't get that one.
I think we honestly all asked each other, like, hey, did they forget Gonzalez?
Right,
He's still a
I
big
was like, did I miss something? Like, did he withdraw from the draft? How was he still on the
I
board?
was like, oh, someone crossed him out on everybody's big board.
Right, someone just went into the war rooms and crossed his name off.
Yeah.
The Patriots probably did.
Yeah, it was Bill.
Dirty bastard.
And then, yeah.
Bob, your most surprising.
Yeah, most surprising. I actually have two here. I think the pick itself, Witherspoon, was probably my most shocking one.
Yes.
Just because obviously they had really good cornerback play last year, but it's never bad adding, and I think he's an elite prospect. So, and then I think this is something that when we were at the draft, I know we all like jaws were on the floor when the Texans traded back up to get the
Yeah.
number 3 pick. I think that just in general, like.
Shocking.
I love the pick and I loved everything they did in this draft, but I think just from like a pure shock perspective, our jaws were on the floor when that happened.
definitely.
So, not for bad reasons, but I do think that was probably the most shocking thing that actually happened when we were at the draft.
I mean, we talked about it after when we got back last night. This is like something you do in Madden. You
Right.
trade- You pick in the top 3 and you trade up and get a second top 3 pick.
Right.
It's not realistic. No team ever
Yeah,
does that.
nobody
And
does
then
that.
here we go.
Houston
That was
picked
electric.
2 and 3.
That was electric.
That was awesome. I love seeing CJ Stroud react to it on the screen.
Yeah.
It's like they're showing it. It's like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
what? It's like, that's awesome. That's super cool to see.
He's
that
just like,
happen.
holy shit, did they trade me?
That's right. Someone comes out and hands him a new hat. My most surprising picks have both already been said. Thanks, Bob and everybody. Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 was shocking.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
With Christian Gonzalez still on the board at 12, I'm like, oh, what a play by the Lions to move down and pick up extra capital and still get the corner. No, they get Jahmyr Gibbs, who they could have gotten at 18.
Yeah.
And then Devin Witherspoon. I did not think they were going to go corner. I figured that they were happy with their draft last year. They had a chance to get a premier defensive player in Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter, and they said, no, I love Devin Witherspoon. My best corner in the class, absolute stud. Him and Tariq Woolen together is going to be gross. But I was very surprised by that. I think maybe Seattle wanted Anthony Richardson, and I think that Devin Witherspoon was their second choice, and they're like, all right, that's fine. We'll take a great consolation prize in Devin Witherspoon. All right, so those are our favorite, least favorite, and most surprising picks. Now we've all looked at them and we've picked out players we think are most likely to succeed in year one and most likely to struggle in year one. Let's all give. How many? Do you guys each have 2, or how many do you all have?
Yeah, I got a couple.
I just put 1 for each, but I
One
could
for
add.
each.
I had 2 struggles and 1
Two
for
I'll say
struggles.
real quick for shocking picks. We talked about obviously Houston moving back up was shocking, but I think Seattle's pick of Witherspoon is what really shook up the
Yeah.
first round.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Because we all were like, oh, they're going D-line. They're
Yeah.
going Carter or Wilson, and as soon as that happened, all bets were off.
Yeah.
Detroit scrambled and traded.
Yeah.
us.
Because Detroit maybe had Witherspoon as their pick, and
I
then
think
all of a sudden,
they
like,
did.
oh, shoot.
It was like minus 200 betting for Witherspoon.
Oh, yeah, so they were going Witherspoon, and Seattle said, nah.
But
Yeah, there were a ton of surprising picks. Like, Nolan Smith going at 30. That's shocking. Like, how did he fall to 30 to the Eagles? Because the Eagles are just bastards.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to give one most likely to succeed. Well, I'll give one most likely to succeed, and we'll just go in order so we each have a chance to get one out. My most likely to succeed next year is Jalen Carter on that Philadelphia Eagles defensive line, man. I think he's going to be a force for them just because of all the talent around him. Top talent in the class, arguably the most talented player, actually. The pro day scared me a little bit, the fact that he showed up, 10 pounds overweight and out of shape, but he'll get into an NFL weight room and he'll get going, and I think he could be dominant on the Eagles defensive line. Bobby, most likely to succeed.
I'd be John Robinson for this one. I think the Falcons had a really, really, really good rushing attack, one of the best in the NFL last year, and adding him to that system, I think he's plug and play Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah.
Especially next year, I feel like the sky's the limit for him and probably has the easiest pathway to success. And
that Atlanta rushing offense was so good last year with Tyler Algier and Cordell Patterson.
Basically, had
the best rushing team. And they just added in an actual explosive running back.
Hopefully, he can be like a Todd Gurley-esque for him. So
yeah, Addison.
Both these are dicks because I had Carter and Bijan.
Yes.
But then I also throw Miles Murphy down.
Yeah,
Added to
great
the defensive line in Cincinnati. You're going to a team that's going to be able to compete, and you're just the new piece that might not get much attention from the offense, and you're going to be able to feast because this guy. At the start of mocks, you saw him as high as 6. You saw him as high as like 8, 9. He's not going to be falling past top 10. For Cincinnati to not move and be able to go snag him at 28, love that. And just another piece to go chase Mahomes, chase Josh Allen, all these quarterbacks they have to go against. And again, it's just he's not going to be focused. It's not a bad team getting Will Anderson. You're the only edge threat we got, bud. Be ready to be double teamed every play. It's like, no, Miles Murphy, you're going to be able to feast one-on-one most of the time because of the rest of the defense we got here in Cincinnati. So I think Cincinnati, great pick. Miles Murphy set up for some success.
Agreed. Colin.
My pick here, Jackson Smith and Jigba. You look at the situation, I feel like he's going to a spot where obviously Tyler Lockett, beginning of his career, slot guy. A lot of veterans around him. Pete Carroll, veteran quarterback, and Geno Smith. And at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to be asked to do too much in his rookie year. Play the slot. Give us 50 to 60 catches. Maybe a couple of tuds. I don't think he's in a spot where if he went to a team where he'd be the number one receiver, I feel like he wouldn't succeed as much as he's going to in Seattle.
Yeah, agreed. Colin, go right back to you here. Most likely to struggle in year one.
A guy we talked about if he's going to have to play the position he was drafted at. I'm going Peter Skronsky here. Just adapting. I don't think the Titans are going to be very good. I don't think it's a very good situation to go to, and I think he's going to be asked to do a lot year one, and he might not be up to it or ready to do it year one.
Yeah,
so I have him as
you need them to bump him down to guard, man. I think he'll be an excellent guard.
That would be interesting, but they're probably going to throw him out there.
They probably are going to throw him out of tackle. They're
see how
later
it goes,
on. I don't love it, but what do you think? At least most likely to fail. Or
to struggle at least year one. A guy I named him my most shocking, and that's Emmanuel Forbes. I think just the division he's in, the corners the receivers he might be put up against. He's going to face Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown twice a year, and he goes up against Dallas, who's now not just CeeDee Lamb. You have Brandon Cooks. And the G-men, at the end of the day, it's a running game, and we'll see what they do the rest of the draft with receivers, but they added Darren Waller. It's a better passing attack in general, but still, it's just you got 4 matchups minimum that are against elite receivers. And he's going to a secondary in Washington where he might be the best secondary. He might be the best corner.
Yeah,
and if he's getting put up against other ones, again, I think his size might come into play.
Yes.
Is he going to be able to beef up quick enough? Let's talk in 2-3 years when the guy's been at it for a while, and all of a sudden he's 185, 190, and he's built. He's not 165 soaking wet, and that's what they want him to be listed at. Is he actually 166? We'll see. But still, I think it's just the division he's in, tough receivers. Emmanuel Forbes probably is going to struggle his rookie year.
Yeah, I agree. Bob, who do you think struggling?
I got 2 actually, and they're both in the top 5. Both quarterbacks and both for different reasons. I think first one I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson, and it's not because of the talent. I think he just is young, 20 years old, coming in, only playing in 13 games. Is going to need time to adjust. So I think that obviously I really like the pick a ton, and I think he has the most upside in the draft from a quarterback perspective. But I think in the same sense, it is going to take time. It's not going to be come in and be elite right away. He's going to have to struggle a little bit, really have some difficulties and overcome them. And then other person I think is C.J. Stroud, and I think it's just from a perspective of who is on the Texans that's going to be able to help him. Like, he's definitely a great quarterback prospect, but who's he going to be throwing the ball to? Who's going to be protecting for him? I mean, they have Dameon Pierce, but other than that, I just think that he will be a very good quarterback, but you just need to surround him with pieces. And doing this just after round one, obviously, if they support him, as the draft goes on, I think that's one thing. It's kind of the same with Richardson. Like, Colts don't have a bona fide number one. I don't think Pittman's really a number one receiver, to be honest, in this league. But, like, you need to surround your young quarterbacks with great weapons and give them as many chances to be successful as possible. And I just don't think either team has that, at least as of right now. But I think both those guys could struggle a little bit this season before kind of blossoming into the QBs they become.
I definitely had C.J. Stroud on my struggle list as well, Bob. It's for the exact same reason. His number one receiver is Nico Collins and John Michie, who is coming back from battling leukemia, which is an awesome story. But is he going to be ready? Let's see if he's going to be an NFL receiver. Don't get me wrong. It looks like he's been in the gym and he looks jacked. Right. But at the same time, that doesn't translate to being a good receiver. Right. Dalton Schultz, I like the free agency, but it's a one-year signing. Right. I think they went out and got Shaq Mason as well to shore up the line a little bit, and they've got Tunsil. But Bob, that's the question. Right. Two pieces ain't a line. No. Right. And I'm pretty sure that's the right guard, left tackle, so they're not even next to each other. Right. And again, it's just a scenario. What are the weapons? It's going to be a situation that I hate to always connect it to the Bears, but Fields. You know what I mean? What did he have to throw to? It's going to be a scenario where if Stroud's good in 3 years, no skill position players besides maybe Pierce and maybe Schultz, if there's like a connection and they get a long-term deal, will be the same. Right. And honestly, most of the line will be different as well. Right. And it's just going to be, that's just the fault right now for Stroud. It's not, like you said, it might not even be his fault. It's just who's surrounding him. Is he going to be able to lift everybody? Right. Maybe not as a rookie.
And having DeMeco Ryans, I think, too, not having an offensive-minded head coach will also be. So, I mean, it's
I want to say they're bringing over 49ers QB coach maybe or something as the OC. But still, that's great. But at the same time, you don't have the team you do in San Francisco. It's great that you can tailor the offenses to the quarterbacks there. It's easy to do when you have George Kittle, you have Deebo Samuel, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got a three-headed running back monster, and an elite defense on top of it.
And I know for Richardson, for example, has Steichen, he'll be able to run the ball well, but just from our O-line didn't give us any protection last year. We don't have really a ton of wide receivers that can get open easily. It's not Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't
at the end of the day, class. So. It is cool to see, but escaping for your life on a scramble and getting yards at the end of the day is not
what you want.
It's not what you want. And stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. My most likely to struggle year one, I've got several written down, but one I'm just now thinking more about, Anton Harrison for the Jags. I think he's going to struggle because he's going to have to start week one at left tackle. He will have to be 100%. Their blindside blocker week one because of losing Juwan Taylor and then having Cam Robinson be suspended for an indefinite amount of time. Yeah. Like, he has to be the plug-and-play left tackle.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like also that first round tag is just going to be on him forever now. Like, you were a first rounder we drafted. Sure, it might have been because we were put into a position where we had to reach and go get you. But why aren't you playing like a first round talent immediately? Right. Even though you were a second round graded guy. Right. But we had to go get you.
We had to take you in the first.
And again, like you said, Nate, that's their true plan for Antoine probably be to battle for right tackle.
Right. That's what
instead, he's going to, like you said, plug and play, day one left tackle. Man, I hope Trevor Lawrence is ready and the eyes in the back of his head. Yeah.
Because that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. They're going to have a first place schedule to play. Yeah. I don't know who their opponents are off the top of my head, but they won their division. They're going to have tough teams coming for them. Now the Jags are the hot up-and-coming team. Yeah. They're no longer a team you can just write off and you play them.
Great.
And Anton Harrison is going to be – it could be a tough transition for him. Welcome to the NFL, pal. Yeah. My other most likely to succeed player I have written down, I think Jordan Addison's going to feast in Minnesota's offense.
Oh, yeah.
I think with Justin Jefferson on the other side, man, that's going to be devastating. And they've still got KJ Osborne. Yeah. Jordan Addison is just good at getting open. He's got great hands. I think that was
They got Hawkinson.
Then they got Hawkinson in there, too. I think that offense, and if they keep Dalvin Cook or get a running back, that offense is going to hum, and I think Jordan Addison will benefit a lot from that, just being open. I really like him to succeed.
They're going to score all night.
Yeah, score all night. Yep. I think they will, man.
They really might, though.
They won't stop anybody.
No, that's a good
But they will score a ton of points. I think Jordan Addison could be
one piece at 23 isn't fixing your defense. You may as well make that offense
May as well, yep. Make a strength even stronger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bobby, do you have anyone else written as most likely to succeed next year?
Not really. I think the Eagles, like both guys for the Eagles, so just the system they're going into, they both get to learn from veterans. And I think there is something about coming from a team, like having that relationship being from Georgia.
Mhm.
They have a ton of players from Georgia.
Their
and I
last
think that,
four of their last
Yeah.
picks have been from Georgia's defense.
Yeah, and honestly, I think a lot of the NFL, especially like when you're that high of talent, is really having that camaraderie with your team and wanting to be able to be best teammate you can be, knowing exactly who you're playing with, kind of what they do, what their tendencies are. And I think for them, I think both those guys can be plug and play. And yeah, it's kind of messed up.
God, that's
I
unbelievable.
know, it doesn't
Like
make
I bet
sense.
you not this past season, but the season before, like when Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis were lining up next to each other. Like, man, how cool would it be if we actually got to line up next to each other in the NFL? Like, how dominant would we be? And here they are lining up together
And then I know he isn't
with Fletcher Cox and Hassan Reddick
that much, but
and Josh
Nakobe
Sweat
Dean
and
is
Nakobe
also
Dean.
great.
I mean, that deep. They're the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
Yep.
And that if you're gonna build from a defense, that Georgia defense was the one to take from because
Yeah,
they
for real.
are
Oh, yeah.
insane.
It's the new
Alabama.
It's the new Alabama,
Yeah, it really is, man. Just
Defensive
insane.
starter from Alabama as a plug and play. day
Yep,
one
they're gonna
starter.
start day one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Four Pro Bowls. in 7
Addison,
years.
any other most likely to succeed players you
You
want to talk
know, I
about?
had Carter and I did
Uh-huh.
have Bijan Robinson written down, but both those guys we've already really talked about.
Right,
So
right.
yeah.
Colin, any other successful players you have written down?
I don't know if we talked much about this guy. Dalton Kincaid to the Bills.
Ooh, yeah,
I think
true.
they succeed day one. Maybe
succeed.
not as far as the blocking aspect.
Right.
He might struggle
Great
with that.
receiver.
But if you're going to have him come out and say, Dawson Knox, hey, we're going to make you our primary blocking.
Right.
Maybe run behind
In
your
line.
side.
Yeah.
Which obviously defense will pick up on that pretty quickly. But
Right.
if you just have him go out there day one and say, hey, we need you to catch 65 balls for us this year and, the blocking will come, I think he could
I think you could
succeed.
do that,
I
man.
think
Him
that was a
falling
great
was
pick.
big. I think that was a big
I
pick.
mean, only started taken in the first round.
Yeah, that is shocking. The over-under was set at,
Yeah.
what, 2.5 or 3?
Yeah.
2.5.
2.5, and people were saying it might be 3.
Might be 3,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, that
Yeah.
very well could be.
Board felt very well for
Yeah,
this.
so that's what's the craziness of the NFL draft. I mean, we saw before it started, everybody saying that this is one of the most unpredictable drafts.
And it really was.
in recent
Yeah, it
history,
was.
and it really has been.
Like,
That's round one only.
From pick 3, honestly, pick 2, like,
Yeah.
them getting CJ Stroud was kind of surprising. It
Yeah.
shouldn't have been, but the
Yeah.
amount we've listened to who they were going to take, and then pick 3, them just coming right back up and getting the
Insane.
best
That was
player in the draft. That was awesome.
I mean, they said it during at least out of the first 17 picks, only 6 teams picked in the original slot.
That's
you know what I mean?
crazy.
That's insane movement.
People were wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, and it's just, hey man, draft day. Give me Putney.
Yeah, I guess. Any other most likely to struggle, Colin? Anything you got?
Nope. I think we've
Nothing
kind of
covered
about.
them.
Yeah, I had Stroud, and I was gonna throw Harrison out as well.
Yeah.
But that was a great touch on that, and
Yeah.
you already touched on the Texans roster
Right.
for Stroud.
Bob, any other struggle buses you got?
Not really. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's a lot of this is going to be schematics of things, but I do think the quarterbacks, in my opinion, did go to the right spots, if that makes sense. Like having Bryce Young with Frank Reich and Richardson with Steichen, I think that was really good. But I think Skronsky was one
I
that
think he might
he's going to be
go.
kind of tough. But other than that, I think a lot of good picks, especially later on. It was kind of crazy how few quarterbacks went as well. I thought Levis would go at some point.
Yeah,
but,
that's probably the biggest shock of the night.
Yeah.
Was Will Levis not even being
I mean,
drafted?
over 4.5 was minus money
Minus
bad.
money.
You know what I mean? And wasn't even close.
No,
Yeah.
we had 3.
Yeah, we're taking
3 in the
some
first
two
4
guys.
picks, and that was it.
I guess one name, now that I'm looking more at it, that I don't want to say maybe might struggle, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have an awesome rookie year, would be Tyree Wilson, just because of the
Yeah.
Raiders. I
Because the
just don't
Raiders
trust
block.
the Raiders
Yeah,
whatsoever.
agreed.
And obviously that defense needs a lot of help, and I wouldn't be surprised with their history of defensive starters that they picked in the first round, like a Colin Farrell
Yeah.
or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a slow year one.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone we didn't mention that might succeed, and since it's just a team that's been so good, Felix Anadike Uzoma.
Yeah.
I don't mind that pick by the Chiefs. They just took George Karlaftis last year, which was solid, and all the receivers for the most part were off the board at this point, so I don't mind that pick. He had 19.5 sacks in the last 2 seasons, which is real solid. I think he'll probably start day one for them. And then someone I think might struggle a little bit was probably one of my least favorite picks in the draft was Mozzie at 26. Not because Mozzie is going to be a bad player. I think Mozzie Smith could be really good in the NFL. I wanted the Cowboys to take a corner or a tight end so badly. I think it's not a knock on Mozzie as a player. It's a knock on what the Cowboys had available to take there, and they just didn't. Like Joey Porter Jr. on the board and Michael Mayer both on the board. I'm like, man, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm running up there with one of those two. One of those two. Maybe you even trade back and then take Mozzie at like 30 or something, and that would make a ton of sense because you need a defensive tackle. You need a stud guy to plug up the middle and be an anchor. I just would have liked to see them take Michael Mayer. And the way they were celebrating the draft made me think it was Michael Mayer.
Yeah, they went to McCarthy first. He got the first handshake. I'm like, oh, offensive
Offense. It
player.
has to be offense. Just
Hey,
kind of a...
maybe Dan Quinn was nowhere to be found.
Yep, maybe. And I don't mind the pick. Like, maybe he was on the phone with Mozzie.
One other pick I do kind of like is Broderick Jones to the Steelers.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a sneaky pick, too, for them. Like, just getting another O-lineman help Kenny Pickett.
Definitely.
So, I think he's going to be a good player, too, but...
Agreed. Last thing here for this video today. Who do you guys have going? Like, who's your best player left on the board right now for round 2? If you had to pick one, I'll go first. I think I can't believe Brian Branch is still on the board, honestly, with how talented he was. But my real pick is Joey Porter Jr. I can't believe Joey Porter Jr. didn't go in the first round. I mean, he was a teens mock drafted.
Yeah. And the Steelers have the number 1 pick in the second round.
You've got to think they take him, right?
You have for the legacy. I personally hope so.
I hope so.
I had him going in the first round to the Steelers.
To the Steelers.
And
then trading up and taking
it
it.
is definitely a legacy pick, but I think you got to give the people what they want at some point. You know what I mean? And I think also he's not a bad. You know what I mean? Not a
He's
bad
a good
player.
player,
It's not like
right?
we're just taking him to take him, but
For fun.
I think that would be a really cool legacy pick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, for me, I am going to say Levis.
Yeah, that's shocking.
I'm shocked that the quarterback is there.
Uh-huh.
And that's the question, but not every team is apparently calling for 32 and saying, what's up with Levis? But I think that's a little bit shocking. I mean, obviously, an easy one would be Meyer, just because he had been.
Right.
He's the best tight end. He's the best tight end, and then
Yeah.
falls out the first.
Falls out of the first round.
But Will Levis, though, it's a quarterback. I mean, guys that shouldn't be first round picks are picked in the top 5 sometimes because they're a QB. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Christian Ponder.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
let's go way back. You know, stuff like that. Not even Fargo. Zach Wilson. Like, let's just be blunt. So I'm gonna ride with Will Levis, though. That's probably the best available, and I assume what it sounds like he's gonna be the first pick. In the
Yeah,
second
probably
round.
first pick of the second round. Which stinks for that team. Why would you not just trade up to 31 then and get the 5th-year option?
Exactly.
Colin?
For me, it's between 4 guys, obviously.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
2 defense, 2 offense. We talked about a few of them. I'll go Brian Branch, Alabama. I
Yeah.
just want to be different. Obviously, Joey Porter, Michael Mayer, Will Levis were the other 3.
Yeah.
Any of those 4, I think, could be the best of the 4, but I'll go Brian Branch just to be different.
They're
Talk
all
about-
first-round players.
Talk about number 1 in his position as well, positional value.
Yeah.
I don't know, Alabama system. We talked about all the stats in college as well.
I feel like it's a weak safety draft or weaker
It
safety
is a
draft.
weak
for
safety
most of them.
draft.
So it's like, once he's gone, what's the safety?
There's nothing
Who's
there.
the next one?
If you need a safety, you better make a move.
And I was going to say, and honestly, too, I think with that, I think there are a lot of wide receivers and cornerbacks left here still. I think you'll see a big run of that, especially I know like Colts definitely need it. But I think one player that I thought was going to kind of go in the first round, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's off the board early today, is Osiris Torrance. I think really good guard. Honestly, wouldn't hate the Colts taking him.
Yeah,
You know, honestly, he's plug and play, right? And I think having him there, I think that's really good value, especially second round. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the most shocking, but a guy that I really, really like going off the board pretty early in day 2. So
Agreed. Well, that was NFL Draft 2023 first round. Done and over with. Good stuff. We'll have this video posted up shortly after we get this done here. I'll get it posted while I'm at the airport. And then round 2 tonight. Can't wait, fellas. Good stuff. And
Let's go,
thanks
baby.
everyone for checking in, and we'll see you a little later.
Peace.